Welcome to the Team Builder Leadership Institute. My name is Tony Roberts. I'm the Chief Transformation Officer of the Team Builder Leadership Institute. Now, in this video, I want to talk about how you develop individuals, how you actually know what they need. In the last video, the first one, and we're going out of this book, Why Try to Make Them Do It When You Can Make Them Want to. Next, in the last one, we talked about the 18 steps to building a high-performance team. Now we're going to level down, and we're actually talking about how you develop an individual. When you first get a new employee, when they first come to work with you, or if you take over the team, how do you actually determine what you as a leader need to provide in skills and abilities for an employee? Now, a lot of leaders just say, well, they've got the job, they've got the title, they're supposed to know how to do it. Well, you can say that, but that's not going to help you with your success. If you make them successful, think about it like this. If you have a team full of successful people, then you can't help but to be successful. So we want to make sure that our team is successful, our members, so that way we're guaranteed our success. Now, here's how we do that. You get new employees. Let's say you get a new employee, whether you take over or they come to work for you, whichever. The first thing you want to do with that employee is you want to sort of evaluate where are they in their skills, their technical abilities for their job, whatever they're doing, and their outlook or attitude. Now, I use that word with reservation because have you ever heard a leader say, well, you have a bad attitude? What does that leader usually mean by that? Well, a lot of people will say, well, they're negative or they're not positive. A lot of people say different things, but I was doing a seminar and I was in Nebraska. And I asked that question in the seminar, and one of the people there, a leader there, answered. He said, well, Tony, what that means is that you don't agree with me, so you got a bad attitude. And you know, I really appreciated the fact that that leader was being pretty honest, because a lot of us, that's sort of what we mean, is if you don't agree with us, well, then you got an attitude, a bad attitude. So another question I always ask when I'm giving live training and seminars is I ask, can you change someone's attitude? Now, I get a variety of answers. A lot of people say, no, you can't change someone's attitude. A lot of people basically say, well, you can beat them into submission. Okay. Well, the truth is, you really can't beat them into submission. First of all, it's against the law, okay, in corporate America. That's just something we frown upon, okay? Secondly, the more you abuse somebody, the more resentment you build up. So that's not a very good way to go about it anyway. The most effective way, if I want to change the way you interact with me, I don't tell you why you're screwed up, why you're not doing it right, why you should do this and you should do that, and you need to. Every time I use the word you need, you're thinking, dude, you need to shut up. In other words, I'm building up resistance in you. If you want to change someone's attitude, you change the environment they operate in. See, we are a product of our environment, and we react to our environment. Human beings, research shows, if you ever read a book called Blink by Malcolm Gladwell, it shows that we're emotional creatures, the research does. We're emotional creatures that can think logically, not logical creatures who can think emotionally. And we actually react out of our emotions about 90% of the time. We really don't use reason near as much as you think we do, or for the average person. No. So what that means is, that's one of the things that we want to learn how to develop, to use reason more than reaction, more than emotion. With that said, when you change someone's environment, it changes the way they behave. Think about this. If I made your environment positive, nurturing, supportive, you always had the tools, the training, the techniques, and the support you needed to be successful all the time. Whenever something was delegated to you, you were always delegated. It was delegated in a way where you always knew exactly what to do to be successful. You had the tools, you had the support, you had the time. How would that make you feel to work in an environment like that? You're probably saying pretty good, yeah. And that's what it does. So when someone changes your environment, your emotions, based on how it makes you feel, change your behaviors. So if I want to change you in the way you're interacting with me, I change me in the way I interact with you, and you will automatically adjust to that. Now, so let's look at this. We're going to look at somebody, a new employee, and we're going to determine what do they need to develop. So one of the things you can do, and this is in the book, you can see it right there. You see how on one side it has, or at the bottom it has outlook, and then on the side it has skills. See that? Okay. Now, So what we're doing is we're looking at their outlook and we're looking at their skills. Okay? And so all I've done is made a little graph here, sort of an L, and up the side is skills, bottom is low, top is high, and then outlook or attitude, I like to call it outlook, low to and then to high if going out. Okay? So basically where I want you is right here. High skills, high positive attitude. Okay? But I'm going to rate you. There's only one way to really evaluate somebody. You can't use your opinion. Your opinion is just not an effective gauge, because some people you may not like, which you're going to say that they have lower skills or poor attitude. That's not true. Just because you don't like them, it doesn't matter. You were hired to lead people, not to like people. So that is your issue, not theirs. Okay? Let me say this. For someone's attitude, if they're effective with others, and if they're focused on the goals, okay, and they're good with people, then their attitude's fine. If you don't like it, that's your problem, not theirs. And that's the way you got to look at it, okay? So for attitude, we want to ask ourselves, are they effective with others? And are they focused on the goals, the mission? And if they are, their attitude's fine. Now for skills, it's can they do what they're hired to do as far as job description? Now, if you're thinking about promotion for this person, not just can they do what they're hired to do, but do they have the interpersonal skills to lead others? Not necessarily doing the same thing. You might start out as a widget maker and end up doing something totally different. So you don't evaluate them on the technical skills for that. For a promotion to a leadership position, it's the leadership skills. All right, so let's look at this. There's only one way you can really determine effectively someone's outlook or attitude and their actual skills. And that is through observation, or the second way is through training, which you know if you train somebody, you tell them, you show them, you have them do it, tell them, show them, have them do it, tell them, show them, have them do it. And it takes multiple exposures. Research shows it takes about an average of about 6 exposures for the average person to retain up to 90% of the information, with reinforcement in the middle, which is actually practicing what they were exposed to. But the point is, you have to observe. Now, I say that because I see a lot of leaders, they will come into an organization or they'll get a new team, and the old leader wants to fill them in on the team. So the old leader says, well, let me tell you about Bob. Let me tell you about Judy. Let me tell you about Betty. Betty would be okay, but she's got a problem with, okay. One of the first things you learn as an effective leader is you observe, you observe, you observe. You do not listen to other people tell you about people. You got to remember they have their own agenda, their own opinion, and if they're being unprofessional, they're using their opinion and not actual fact. So you cannot trust another person's judgment on another person. You must observe it as a leader if you want to be a professional and effective leader. Because you don't want those preconceptions. You don't want to be, you can actually program yourself to look for things that aren't there. So you want a fresh opinion. What I've always done, you know, this is something I learned in the military. I would come into a new unit and take over a team, and the outgoing NCO or non-commissioned officer would say, well, let me tell you about so-and-so. And I learned, no, I don't want you to tell me about so-and-so. Tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to go ahead and observe and just hang out for a while, and I'm going to get my own opinions. Thank you for your offer, but no thank you. Now, so what I always do whenever I take over a new team, for the first couple of weeks, I'm watching the team, how it interacts, what it does well, what it doesn't do well, each individual, how they interact, what they do well, what they don't do well, what they could do better. Then we get into conversations down the road. But first of all, you do that observation. You can't evaluate somebody without observation. And it's got to be unbiased with no preconceptions. You simply, you watch what they do, okay, how well they do it. And then you can evaluate them on their outlook and their skills. Now, so let's say we've determined, we've got it right here, and we've determined their outlook is okay, but their skills are low. What does that tell us we need to do? Provide training. Provide technical skills training, because they got a good attitude or outlook, but their skill level is low. That means we need to provide training. So we just need to identify what things do they not know how to do that was in their job description and provide training. Okay. Now, what if we have someone right here, they got high skills, but their outlook or attitude is low? How do we fix that? Well, we fix that by changing their environment, so their environment feels more positive to them, feels more friendly to them, and that's going to automatically raise their outlook or attitude performance. So really, if you think about it, if you take the time to really evaluate somebody through observation, through training, training, of course, observation is a part of it. So if you take the time to evaluate somebody on outlook and skills, not opinion, not beliefs, not someone else's beliefs or opinion, but you can get a great idea of what this person needs to become back on the scale right there, which is top in skills and top in attitude. That's where you want every employee. And if you take the time to evaluate them, you can get them there. But you've got to use some kind of method like this, not just how you feel. How you feel doesn't matter. It'll never make them successful, and it'll never make you successful. But if you'll take the time to evaluate them through observation and then provide them either the training or the environmental adjustment they need, you can have all 10s as far as employees. On a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being max, every one of them right there. And remember, when you make all your employees successful, when they're all successful, you can't be anything but successful. So take the time, do the evaluation, and map out their path to success. Thanks for coming to the Team Builder Leadership Institute. I'll see you in the next lesson.